Hello everyone. Welcome to a brand new story series, Tales from Sonamura. Episode 1, The Farmer's Promise. In this series, we'll travel to another beautiful little village and meet new people, learn new lessons, and of course learn new English words along the way. Sunflower. So sit back, relax, and stay with me till the end, because today's story will show you the power of faith and hard work. Sheaf of Rice. The story begins. In the quiet village of Sonamura, there lived a farmer named Ravi. Ravi wasn't rich, but he was honest, kind, and hardworking. Every morning before sunrise, he went to his small field and worked until sunset. One year something terrible happened. There was no rain. The sun burned hot, the soil turned dry, and the crops started to die. Many farmers in Sonamura gave up. They said, "It's useless, Ravi. The land is dead. Let's wait for next year." But Ravi shook his head. He said softly, "No, I made a promise to this land. If I don't give up on it, it won't give up on me." Every day, he carried buckets of water from the village well to his dry fields. His hands were cracked, his back ached, but his hope stayed alive. Children laughed and said, "Uncle Ravi still waters his dead plants." He only smiled and replied, "The earth listens to those who care for it." Cloud the miracle. Weeks passed. Then one evening dark clouds gathered over Sonamura. Thunder roared. And for the first time in months rain began to fall. The people ran out laughing and dancing, but when they looked at Ravi's field they were speechless. Tiny green shoots were already rising from the ground. Seedling. While others had stopped believing, Ravi's effort had kept life alive beneath the soil. A few weeks later, his field was full of golden crops, the only one in the whole village. Everyone came to see it, and the village elder said, "Ravi didn't just grow rice. He grew hope." Speech ballooned the lesson. That night, Ravi sat under the stars and whispered, "Sometimes the world tests your patience. But if your heart stays faithful, miracles will find their way." Books. New English words you learned today. Persevere. Verb. To keep trying even when things are hard. Example. Ravi persevered even when the rain did not come. Harvest. Noun. The crops you gather after growing them. Example. His harvest was the best in Sonamura. Faith. Noun. A strong belief that something good will happen. Example. Ravi never lost his faith in the land. Glowing star. Moral of the story. When life feels dry and hopeless, don't stop believing. Your patience and effort can bring the rain. Maybe not today, but someday soon. Cloud with rain. Yellow heart. If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Tales with English. Let's keep learning English through stories, one lesson, one word, one miracle at a time. Sheaf of Rice. Sparkles. Tales from Sonamura. Episode 2. The Little Teacher. Hello everyone. Last time we learned about Ravi, the farmer who taught us the value of faith and patience. Today we'll meet someone much younger, but just as wise. A little girl named Mira, who showed her entire village that you're never too small to make a big difference. Stay with me till the end, because this story will inspire you to believe in your own power. Busy. Open book. The story begins. In the heart of Sonamura there was a small school. It was an old building with cracked walls and a big mango tree outside. Every morning, children from the village came running there, laughing and playing before class. Among them was a bright little girl named Mira. She loved reading stories, solving sums, and helping others learn. Her dream was to become a teacher one day, like Miss Rupa, she always said with a shy smile. But one rainy season, the river near Sonamura flooded and destroyed the school's roof. The teachers had to leave for the city while the school was being repaired. For weeks there were no classes. The children were sad. Some even started forgetting how to read. But not Mira. Some behind small cloud, a small idea with a big heart. One morning Mira picked up her old school bag and went to the big mango tree. She laid down her notebooks and called out to her friends, "Come here. Let's study like before. I'll be the teacher today." At first her friends laughed. "Mira, you're too small to be a teacher," they teased. But Mira smiled and said, "Maybe, but we can still learn something together." Slowly they started sitting with her every morning. She taught them how to read words, count numbers, and write short sentences in English. When she didn't know something, she asked her mother or the village elder for help. Soon, even parents began to watch from a distance, smiling proudly. Rainbow the surprise visitor. A month later, Miss Rupa, the real teacher, came back to Sonamura. When she saw all the children studying under the mango tree, she was amazed. She walked up to Mira and said, "You did what even some grown-ups couldn't do. You kept learning alive." The school reopened soon after, and Miss Rupa made a special announcement. "From today, Mira will be our little teacher, my helper in every class." Everyone clapped and cheered. Mira's eyes sparkled with happiness. Speech ballooned the lesson. That night, Mira wrote in her diary, "You don't have to wait to grow up to help others. Even a small light can brighten a dark room." Glowing star. Books. New English words you learned today. Inspire verb. To make someone feel they can do something great. Example. Mira inspired her friends to keep learning. Knowledge. Noun. Understanding or information you get from learning. Example. She shared her knowledge with others. Effort. Noun. Hard work or energy you put into something. Example. Her effort helped the children study again. Glowing star. Moral of the story. No one is too small to make a big difference. If you believe in yourself and help. Repaired. For weeks there were no classes. The children were sad. Some even started forgetting how to read. But not Mira. Some behind small cloud, a small idea with a big heart. One morning Mira picked up her old school bag and went to the big mango tree. She laid down her notebooks and called out to her friends, "Come here. Let's study like before. I'll be the teacher today." At first her friends laughed. "Mira, you're too small to be a teacher," they teased. But Mira smiled and said, "Maybe, but we can still learn something together." Slowly they started sitting with her every morning. She taught them how to read words, count numbers, and write short sentences in English. When she didn't know something, she asked her mother or the village elder for help. Soon even parents began to watch from a distance, smiling proudly. Rainbow the surprise visitor. A month later, Miss Rupa, the real teacher, came back to Sonamura. When she saw all the children studying under the mango tree, she was amazed. She walked up to Mira and said, "You did what even some grown-ups couldn't do. You kept learning alive." The school reopened soon after, and Miss Rupa made a special announcement. "From today, Mira will be our little teacher, my helper in every class." Everyone clapped and cheered. Mira's eyes sparkled with happiness. Speech ballooned the lesson. That night, Mira wrote in her diary, "You don't have to wait to grow up to help others. Even a small light can brighten a dark room." Glowing star. Books. New English words you learned today. Inspire verb. To make someone feel they can do something great. Example. Mira inspired her friends to keep learning. Knowledge. Noun. Understanding or information you get from learning. Example. She shared her knowledge with others. Effort. Noun. Hard work or energy you put into something. Example. Her effort helped the children study again. Glowing star. Moral of the story. No one is too small to make a big difference. If you believe in yourself and help others, you can become a light for your whole community. Sparkling heart. If you like this story, please like, share, and subscribe to Tales with English. Together, let's learn English and life lessons, one story at a time. Episode 3, The Broken Bridge. In the last episode, we met little Mira, the girl who became a teacher and proved that age doesn't decide greatness. Blossom. Today's story is about something even bigger. How the people of Sonamura came together when everything seemed broken. This is the story of the broken bridge, and how a community learned that true strength lives in unity. Flex biceps. Bridge at night. The story begins. Sonamura was a peaceful village surrounded by green fields and a sparkling river. That river was not just water, it was life. It gave them fish to eat, water for the crops, and a bridge that connected the village to the town. Every morning people crossed that bridge to sell vegetables, go to school, or visit friends. But one night, after days of heavy rain, the river overflowed. The water rose higher and higher until the bridge collapsed into the rushing current. Water wave. When morning came, the people stood by the river in silence. The bridge was gone. No one could cross. The farmers couldn't sell their crops, children couldn't reach school, and traders stopped visiting Sonamura. Fear and sadness spread through the village like a dark cloud. Some said, "We can't fix it. We don't have the tools or money." Others said, Let's wait for help from the city. But one man, old Ravi the farmer, stepped forward. He said calmly, "We built this village with our hands. If we could make it once, we can make it again." The village comes together. The next morning, Ravi arrived at the riverbank with some bamboo and rope. Soon Mira came too, carrying water for the workers. Then others joined, the carpenter, the blacksmith, even the children. The women cooked meals, the men carried wood, and the children gathered stones. They didn't wait for help. They became each other's help. Day after day under the hot sun they worked. Laughter mixed with sweat. Songs echoed across the fields. Finally, after 2 long weeks, a new bridge stood proudly over the river, stronger and more beautiful than before. Bridge at night sparkles. When the first person crossed it, the whole village clapped and cheered. Ravi smiled and said, "A bridge is not made of wood or stone. It's made of trust." Speech ballooned the lesson. That evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Mira whispered to her friends, "We thought we had lost a bridge, but maybe we built a stronger one between our hearts." Red Heart. Book's new English words you learned today. Rebuild verb. To build something again after it is broken. Example. The villagers rebuilt the bridge together. Togetherness noun. The feeling of being united or close to others. Example. The bridge was a symbol of their togetherness. Courage noun. The strength to face fear or difficulty. Example. It took courage to start rebuilding after the flood. Glowing star moral of the story. When people stand together, no storm can break them. Even when life falls apart, unity can rebuild everything, stronger than before. Rainbow. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Tales with English. Together, let's keep learning English and life's greatest lessons, one story at a time. Sheaf of Rice, Sparkling Heart. Tales from Sonamura, Episode 4. The Old Lantern. In our last story, the villagers came together to rebuild their bridge, and we learned that unity can rebuild anything. But today's story is gentler. It's about a man who didn't build bridges with wood. He built them with kindness and light. This is the story of the Old Lantern. Yellow Heart. Crescent Moon. The story begins. In the far corner of Sonamura, near the edge of the forest, lived an old man named Haridas. He was quiet, humble, and always seen carrying a small lantern, even when the moon was bright. Every evening when the sun went down, Haridas walked along the village road and hung his lantern on a tall bamboo pole beside the path. He did this every single night without fail. One evening, a boy asked him curiously, "Uncle Hari, why do you hang that lantern there? No one walks here after dark." Haridas smiled and said, "Maybe not today, my boy, but someday someone might. And if they do, I want them to have light." The boy didn't fully understand, but he nodded politely and went home. Cloud with rain. The night of the storm. One night, a terrible storm hit Sonamura. The wind howled, trees bent low, and the rain poured without mercy. Haridas still stepped out, holding his old lantern close to his chest to keep the flame alive. His neighbors shouted, "Stay inside, Haridas. It's too dangerous." But he only said, "Someone might need the light tonight." That same night, a traveler from another town lost his way near the forest. Cold, tired, and frightened, he searched for shelter. Then through the rain he saw a faint golden glow, Haridas's lantern. He followed the light, reached the village safely, and knocked on Haridas's door. The old man welcomed him in, gave him warm food, and let him rest till morning. When the traveler left the next day, he said softly, "Your light saved me. Thank you, kind sir." Sun behind small cloud. The morning after. The storm passed. When people came out, they found the lantern still hanging, still shining, though weakly. From that day on, villagers began calling Haridas the Lantern Man of Sonamura. And every evening, even after he grew weaker, children would help him light the lantern and hang it up. It became a beautiful tradition, a symbol of kindness that asked for nothing in return. The lesson. One evening Mira asked Haridas, "Uncle, aren't you tired of lighting the lantern every day?" He smiled and replied, "My child, light doesn't get tired of shining. That's what it's meant to do." Candle. Book's new English words you learned today. Lantern noun. A light inside a case used to guide people in the dark. Example. Haridas hung his lantern on the road every night. Kindness noun. the quality of being gentle and caring. Example, his kindness helped a stranger find safety. Guide verb, to lead or show the way. Example, the lantern guided the traveler through the storm. Glowing star moral of the story. Even a small light can guide someone lost in the dark. Kindness doesn't need an audience, it just needs a heart. Sparkling heart. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Tales with English. Together, let's keep learning English and spreading light, one story at a time. Crescent Moon Sparkles. Tales from Sonamura Episode 5. The Music of Sonamura. Last time we met Haridas, the kind old man whose lantern showed us that even a small light can brighten someone's path. Candle. Today's story is full of rhythm, joy, and heart. It's about a boy who couldn't read well, but who found a different way to shine. This is the story of the music of Sonamura. Musical note. Microphone. The story begins. In the lively village of Sonamura, there lived a young boy named Arjun. Arjun was cheerful and full of energy, but there was one thing that made him sad. He struggled to read and write. At school, while others read books easily, Arjun mixed up the letters. He often sat quietly at the back of the class, feeling left behind. Sometimes the other children laughed. But instead of getting angry, Arjun would just hum little tunes to himself. Soft, sweet melodies that made him feel better. Musical notes. Sheaf of rice, a hidden gift. One afternoon when everyone was busy studying, Miss Rupa, the schoolteacher, heard a voice from outside. It was Arjun, singing as he helped his mother in the field. The melody was so pure and full of feeling that she stopped and listened. The next day at school, Miss Rupa said, "Children, we're having a village festival soon. I want each of you to show your special talent." When it was Arjun's turn, he looked nervous. "Ma'am, I can't do anything special," he whispered. Miss Rupa smiled and said, "Oh, I think you can. Sing, Arjun. Let your heart speak." So he did. His voice filled the classroom, soft at first, then strong and full of emotion. The children sat silently, eyes wide. When he finished, the whole class clapped loudly. For the first time, Arjun didn't feel small. He felt seen. Glowing star. Party popper. The festival day. A week later, the entire village gathered for the annual Sonamura festival. There were bright lights, food stalls, and laughter everywhere. When it was Arjun's turn to perform, he walked up to the stage, holding a small flute that his father had carved for him. He took a deep breath and began to play. The notes rose gently into the night sky, like the sound of the river flowing, the birds singing, and the heart of the village beating together. By the time he finished, everyone was on their feet, clapping and cheering. The village elder said proudly, "Arjun has given us something special, the music of Sonamura." From that day on, whenever people passed his house, they could hear his flute floating through the evening air. It became the sound of peace, of hope, and of home. Musical note. Speech balloon. The lesson. That night, Miss Rupa told the children, "Each of us has a gift. It doesn't matter what you can't do. Find what you can do and make it beautiful." Sparkling heart. Books. New English words you learned today. Melody. Noun. A pleasant series of musical notes. Example. Arjun's melody filled the whole village with joy. Confidence. Noun. Believing in your own abilities. Example. Singing gave Arjun new confidence. Talent. Noun. A natural skill or ability. Example. Arjun discovered his hidden talent for music. Glowing star. Moral of the story. Everyone has something special inside them. When you find your gift and share it with the world, you make life more beautiful. For yourself and for others. Rainbow. If this story made you smile, please like, share, and subscribe to Tales with English. Let's keep learning English and discovering our gifts, one story at a time. Musical notes. Dizzy. Tales from Sonamura Episode 6. The Painter of Sonamura. Hello everyone. In the last episode we met Arjun, the boy who turned his weakness into music, and reminded us that everyone has a special gift inside. Musical note. Today's story is about a girl who taught her village how to see the world with new eyes. This is the story of the Painter of Sonamura. Artist palette. Sunflower. The story begins. In the peaceful village of Sonamura, there lived a young girl named Kavya. Kavya was quiet and shy, but she had one great love: colors. Rainbow. She would spend hours watching butterflies, sunsets, and the ripples of the river, noticing every shade of blue, green, and gold. Her family wasn't rich. They couldn't afford paints or brushes. But Kavya didn't give up. She made her own colors using flowers, leaves, and even bits of clay. On old walls and broken pots, she painted flowers, birds, and dreams. The villagers often said, "Why waste time painting broken things?" But Kavya just smiled and said softly, "Because even broken things deserve beauty." Yellow heart. A chance to shine. One day, a group of visitors from the nearby town came to Sonamura. They were planning to start a small art exhibition in the area. When they saw Kavya's colorful paintings on the old walls, they were amazed. One of them asked, "Who made these?" Kavya hesitated, hiding behind her mother. Her mother smiled proudly and said, "My daughter did." The visitors invited Kavya to paint for their exhibition. At first she was scared. What if people laughed at her simple work? But then she remembered what she always believed. Beauty can live anywhere. So she agreed. Sun with face the day of the exhibition. At the exhibition, Kavya's corner wasn't grand. She had only a few paintings, one of a broken clay pot filled with flowers, another of a cracked wall covered in vines. But people stopped and stared. A man said, "This little girl doesn't just paint with colors. She paints with hope." By the end of the day, every one of her paintings had been sold. But what made her happiest wasn't the money. It was when a small boy came to her and said, "Didi, after seeing your paintings, I think I'll fix my broken kite instead of throwing it away." Kavya smiled. That was all she needed. Tulip. Speech ballooned the lesson. That evening, as the sun set behind Sonamura's fields, Kavya whispered to her friend Mira, "Maybe art isn't just for walls. Maybe it's for hearts." Sparkling heart. Books. New English words you learned today. Exhibition. Noun. A public show of art or objects. Example. Kavya's paintings were displayed in an exhibition. Inspire. Verb. To make someone want to do something creative or kind. Example. Her paintings inspired others to see beauty in everything. Hope. Noun. The feeling that good things will happen. Example. Kavya's art filled the village with hope. Glowing star. Moral of the story. You don't need perfect tools to create beauty. All you need is a heart that sees light, even in broken places. Rainbow. Let's keep learning English and finding beauty in everything, one story at a time. Artist palette. Sparkles. Tales from Sonamura. Episode 7. The Gardener of Sonamura. In our last story we met Kavya, the young painter who taught us that even broken things can be beautiful. Artist palette. Today's story is about a man who worked quietly without words, but whose patience and love transformed the whole village. This is the story of the Gardener of Sonamura. Seedling. Green heart. Herb. The story begins. At the edge of Sonamura, beside the dusty road that led to the market, lived an old man named Raghunath. He didn't own much, just a small hut, a few tools, and an old watering can. Every morning before the sun rose, he would walk along the road, digging little holes in the soil and planting seeds. The villagers often asked him, "Uncle Raghunath, why are you wasting time planting flowers on the roadside? No one even notices them." He simply smiled and said, "The earth notices. And one day you will too." Blossom. Sun. A lesson in patience. Days passed. Weeks went by. At first nothing seemed to grow. Children laughed and said, "Uncle Raghunath's garden is full of nothing." But Raghunath kept watering the soil every single morning, with calm, quiet faith. Then one morning something magical happened. Tiny green shoots peeked out from the brown earth. Soon bright marigolds, roses, and sunflowers covered both sides of the dusty road. Sunflower. The same people who once laughed now slowed their steps to admire the colors. Travelers stopped to rest under the cool shade of the trees he planted. The road to the market became known as the garden path of Sonamura. Cloud with rain. The storm. One year, a heavy storm swept through the village. The winds broke fences, uprooted trees, and destroyed many crops. When the storm ended, people saw that most of Raghunath's flowers were gone. Everyone expected him to give up. But the very next morning, they saw him walking down the same road, carrying his watering can. A young boy called out, "Uncle, why are you planting again? The storm might come back." Raghunath smiled and said, Storms may come and go, my child, but life must keep growing. Seedling. Cherry blossom, a blooming village. A few months later, the road was full of life again, even more colorful than before. Raghunath's garden became a symbol of hope. People began planting flowers in front of their homes too. Before long, Sonamura wasn't just a peaceful village. It became the village that bloomed. Blossom dizzy. And every morning, the sound of Raghunath's watering can was like a song of patience, echoing softly through the air. The lesson. One evening, a traveler asked Raghunath, "Old man, what's your secret? How do you make everything grow so beautifully?" He replied, "Simple. You give time, you give care, and you never give up." Sparkling heart. Books. New English words you learned today. Patience. Noun. The ability to wait calmly. Example. Raghunath's patience helped the flowers bloom again. Faith. Noun. Strong belief or trust. Example. He had faith that his garden would grow someday. Bloom. Verb. When flowers open and grow. Example. The road to Sonamura market bloomed with color. Glowing star. Moral of the story. Good things take time. Like flowers, success and happiness grow with patience, care and love. Hibiscus. If this story touched your heart, please like, share and subscribe to Tales with English. Let's keep learning English and growing in kindness, one story at a time. Herb Sparkles. Tales from Sonamura Episode 8. The Weaver of Sonamura. Hello everyone. Last time we met Raghunath, the patient gardener who taught us that life blooms when we give it time and love. Cherry blossom. Today's story is about a woman who didn't just weave cloth. She wove dreams, friendships, and hope. This is the story of the Weaver of Sonamura. Dizzy. The story begins. In the heart of Sonamura, there lived a woman named Leela. She was known for her gentle hands and her magical loom, a simple wooden frame that turned plain threads into beautiful fabrics. Every morning as the sun lit up the village, the soft sound of tack-tack-tack came from Leela's house, the rhythm of her weaving. People often said, "Leela's hands speak in colors. Rainbow." But what most people didn't know was that Leela had faced many hardships. Her husband had passed away years ago, and she raised her 2 children alone by selling her woven cloth. Even when life was difficult, she never stopped creating beauty. Chief of Rice, a village in trouble. One summer, Sonamura faced a big problem. The river that supplied water to the fields dried up. Without water, crops failed, and many villagers lost their income. Some even thought about leaving the village to find work elsewhere. Leela watched this sadness grow, and one night she sat by her loom thinking, "What can I do? I can't bring rain, but maybe I can bring hope." The next morning, she gathered some old pieces of fabric and began to weave something new, something bigger than anything she had made before. Yarn, the great tapestry. For weeks, Leela worked day and night. Children peeked through her window, curious about what she was making. Slowly, a huge tapestry began to take shape. It showed the story of Sonamura. The river, the fields, the lantern man, the musician, the gardener, everyone who made the village what it was. When it was finished, Leela invited the villagers to see it. They stood in silence, eyes wide. One man whispered, "It's beautiful. She has woven all of us together." Leela smiled and said, "A village is like cloth. Every person is a thread. When we work together, we become strong." Sparkling heart. Cloud with rain, hope returns. The villagers felt inspired. They decided to rebuild the irrigation channels, share what little water they had, and help each other plant new crops. Months later, the rains finally returned. The fields turned green again, and Sonamura began to thrive. In the middle of the village square, they hung Leela's tapestry as a reminder of unity, hope, and creativity. Sheaf of rice. Speech balloon, the lesson. That evening, Leela's daughter asked, "Mother, what made you believe your cloth could help everyone?" Leela smiled and said, "Because every thread has a story, and when we listen to each other's stories, we can mend anything." Dizzy. Books. New English words you learned today. Weave, verb. To make cloth by crossing threads together. Example. Leela weaved colorful fabrics with her wooden loom. Tapestry, noun. A large decorative cloth with pictures or patterns. Example. The tapestry showed the story of Sonamura. Unity, noun. The state of being together or joined in purpose. Example. The tapestry inspired unity among the villagers. Glowing star moral of the story. Alone we are just threads. Together we can create something strong, colorful, and full of life. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe to Tales with English. Let's keep learning English and weaving kindness one story at a time. Sparkling Heart Sheaf of Rice. Tales from Sonamura Episode 9. The Teacher of Sonamura. Hello everyone. Welcome back to Tales from Sonamura, Sheaf of Rice. Last time we met Leela, the weaver who taught us that when we come together, we can create something beautiful and strong. Thread dizzy. Today's story is about someone who shaped minds and hearts. A teacher whose lessons went far beyond books. This is the story of the teacher of Sonamura. Book sparkles. Leaf fluttering and when the story begins. In the quiet village of Sonamura, there lived a kind teacher named Master Dev. He was not just respected, he was loved. Every morning, his soft voice could be heard calling out from the little school near the banyan tree. Good morning, children. Let's learn something new today. But what made Master Dev special wasn't just his knowledge. It was his way of teaching with heart. He believed that education wasn't about memorizing. It was about understanding, feeling, and sharing. Sheaf of Rice, a lesson beyond books. One hot afternoon, Master Dev noticed that the children looked tired and bored. Instead of continuing the lesson, he said, "Let's go outside. Today the trees will be our classroom." He took them to the fields and asked, "What do you see?" The children said, "Plants, birds, and soil." Master Dev smiled. "Yes, but look closer. Every leaf, every bird, every grain of soil is teaching you something. The tree teaches patience. The river teaches movement. The sun teaches warmth. The world is full of teachers, if only you learn to listen." Sun with face. The children's eyes sparkled. From that day they began to see learning everywhere. In kindness, in nature, and even in mistakes. Cloud with rain, the hard days. Years passed. One year a big flood struck Sonamura. Many homes were damaged and even the small school was destroyed. The children were sad. "Master Dev, our school is gone. How will we learn now?" He simply said, "A school is not a building, my children. It's where people come together to learn. So let's build one again with our own hands." Hammer rebuilding the school. The next morning the villagers, young and old, gathered under the banyan tree. Some brought bricks, others brought wood. Master Dev taught even as they worked. Every brick we place is a lesson in teamwork. Every drop of sweat is a lesson in courage. After weeks of hard work, the school was ready again, brighter, stronger, and full of love. When the first bell rang in the new classroom, the whole village clapped and cheered. It wasn't just a school anymore. It was the heart of Sonamura. Red heart. Some behind small cloud, a lasting legacy. Many years later, Master Dev grew old and weak. One morning, he gathered his students, now grown up, and said softly, "My time is ending, but your lessons are just beginning. Promise me one thing. Never stop learning, and never stop teaching others." Tears filled everyone's eyes. That evening, the sun set gently over Sonamura, and the sound of children reading under the banyan tree carried his legacy forward. Deciduous tree sparkles. Speech balloon, the lesson. Learning never ends. A true teacher doesn't just fill your mind, they awaken your heart. Sparkling heart. Books, new English words you learned today. Wisdom, noun. Deep understanding gained from experience. Example. Master Dev shared his wisdom through stories. Legacy, noun. Something valuable left behind for others. Example. His greatest legacy was the love of learning he inspired. Courage, noun. The strength to face difficulties without fear. Example. The villagers showed courage while rebuilding the school. Glowing star moral of the story. Books teach us facts, but people teach us life. Be the kind of person whose lessons make others better, kinder, and wiser. Open book blossom. Tales from Sonamura Episode 10. The Festival of Sonamura. Over the past stories we've met amazing people. Tom the lazy boy who changed his life. Haridas the lantern man. Arjun the musician. Kavya the painter. Raghunath the gardener. Leela the weaver. And Master Dev the teacher. Busy. Each one taught us something special. About kindness, patience, creativity, and love. And now it's time to bring all those lessons together in a story of light, laughter, and unity. This is the festival of Sonamura. Rainbow musical notes. Sunrise, a new beginning. It was early morning in Sonamura. The air was cool, the sky painted gold by the rising sun, and the sound of birds filled the fields. But today felt different. It was the day of the village festival, the first one in many years. After months of hard work, rebuilding, planting, teaching, and dreaming, Sonamura was ready to celebrate not just success, but togetherness. Sparkling heart. The villagers gathered in the square, decorating it with flowers from Raghunath's garden, colorful fabrics woven by Leela, and bright lanterns like the ones Haridas once hung every night. Children ran through the streets, holding small flutes like Arjun's and wearing painted masks inspired by Kavya's art. And at the center of it all stood Master Dev's old school, shining with new paint and love. Sheaf of rice, the celebration begins. As the drum started beating, Tom, yes, the once lazy boy, stood on the stage smiling proudly. He had returned from the city, where he now worked and helped support his parents. He said, "I was once lazy and lost, but this village taught me that hard work and love can change everything." Then came the music. Arjun's melodies filled the air, joined by laughter and clapping. The children performed a dance, wearing colors Kavya had chosen and singing songs about friendship and hope. Leela's great tapestry hung high above the stage, showing every person in Sonamura, their faces woven together with golden threads. When the sun set, the villagers lit hundreds of lanterns, just like Haridas used to do. The entire village glowed softly under the night sky. Full moon. Dizzy, a message from the heart. As the festival reached its peak, the elder of Sonamura stood up and spoke. "My dear people, today we are not just celebrating a festival. We are celebrating who we are. Each of you is a light, a flower, a thread, a melody. Alone we are small. Together we are Sonamura, strong, kind, and full of hope." Everyone cheered. Some cried. The lanterns floated up into the dark sky, like tiny stars carrying the dreams of the village. Shooting star. Cherry blossom, a village that teaches the world. Over time, people from nearby towns began visiting Sonamura to see its beauty. Not just the gardens or the paintings, but the spirit of its people. They said, "This village doesn't just grow crops, it grows hearts." 2 hearts. Sonamura became known far and wide as the village of lessons, where every person had a story worth telling. And so the tales of Sonamura spread beyond the fields and rivers, carried by travelers and dreamers, teachers and children, reminding the world that kindness, unity, and love are the real treasures of life. Sheaf of rice sparkles. Speech balloon, the lesson. A village's strength doesn't come from its size. It comes from its people. And every person, no matter how small, can make a difference when they care, create, and believe. Globe showing Europe, Africa, sparkling heart. Books, new English words you learned today. Unity, noun. The state of being joined together. Example. The festival showed the unity of Sonamura. Celebrate, verb. To honor or enjoy a special day. Example. The villagers celebrated their hard work with music and light. Legacy, noun. Something good left behind for the future. Example. The people of Sonamura left a legacy of kindness and hope. Glowing star, moral of the story. When we learn, share, and care, life becomes a festival every day. Sparkler. Headphone closing. If the tales from Sonamura touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Tales with English. Because learning English is not just about words. It's about stories that make us better people. Dizzy. Thank you for staying with us through every story, every lesson, and every heartwarming moment. This may be the end of the Sonamura tales, but every ending is just a new beginning. Sunrise over mountains.